Hello, world. It is your girl, Shavana Speaks More, coming to you live with yet another episode of Limitless Living with Shavana Speaks More. Today, I am so elated to bring on our guest. This is going to be a juicy conversation. We are going to, you may laugh, you may cry. I don't know what's going to happen, but let's just say that you guys are in for a treat. So, we have Miss Michelle. Michelle is a licensed certified psychotherapist who has been in practice for over 20 years. She's the mother of three, two with her, and one angel, Rachel, up in heaven. Since her daughter passed, Michelle has been finding ways to help other parents while in return helping herself learn to cope. As a result, Pangels was founded, and we are going to get more into what that looks like. And her co-partner, Miss Tracy Watson, is a business owner. She's the mother of three boys. She has two here and one in heaven. And Tracy is also the co-owner of Pangels. So, with that being said, I want to welcome to the show Miss Michelle and Tracy. How are you ladies doing today?
We're doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm so elated that you all are on this episode with us because I know that this episode is going to inspire so many people around the world. But anyway, before we get into it, I just want you both to introduce yourself. So, Michelle, if you don't mind starting, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your story, your background, and kind of what led you down this journey to creating Angels.
Sure. So my name is Michelle Rossoff. I am originally from New York, and I moved here in '96. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, so I've had my own practice here for quite a while. Everything was going swimmingly, and in 2016, September 3rd, 2016, tragedy had hit my family, and my oldest daughter, Rachel Rossoff, was electrocuted while she was lifeguarding at a pool where she was all by herself and was not found for about 6 hours after she passed. So my life journey started to change a little bit. Although I've helped parents heal or in therapy who have lost kids, I never fully understood the impact of losing a child until I myself had went through it. Losing a child is horrible, but you lose so much more of your life. You lose your friends, you lose your identity, you lose yourself. And you have to reinvent the wheel in a way and figure out how you're going to continue on life, whether you're going to continue and make your child's life be valuable and worthwhile, or if you're going to be bitter and angry in the world. And I chose the first one, of course. And I just started a journey right away, starting to heal in a way that was very personal to me and my daughter, Rachel. She was a writer. I had found a lot of her writings after she passed, and I published 2 books with her writings, which is a dream that she's always wanted to. She was only 17. She just started her high school year, and she was so looking forward to going to college, and really she wanted to write for Saturday Night Live. That was her goal, and she wanted to be published. So I was able to make that dream come true with her. And through that journey, I've gone to a lot of different things that were out of my comfort zone, but to help me heal. And I met Tracy, who was actually a patient of mine, referred to me. And after a couple sessions, told her that we could no longer be patients because we became friends. And together, we've gone on this journey together, and we developed Pangels, which is Parents of Angels, and we provide free weekend retreats for bereaved parents.
Wow.
It's been very healing for us, and I know it's been very healing for our recipients. So.
Wow, that is beautiful. And I definitely want to dive into that more, but I'm going to let Tracy introduce herself, and then we will continue our conversation. So hello, Miss Tracy Watts. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So Tracy Watson was born in Pittsburgh, but been in North Carolina most of my life. I have 3 boys. Boys are rough, so you're always worried. I mean, they're nonstop. Never thought I would go through a loss of one of my children, even with 3 boys. But my son Hunter, who had turned 21 in June, had gone out with a bunch of his friends and had drank a lot. And really, really drunk and ended up taking the Xanax that was laced with fentanyl.
Mm.
Big deal going on right now. A lot of kids are dying from fentanyl overdoses. It was, for me, I wasn't like Michelle. I didn't dive into getting help. I thought I could do it on my own. You know, I'm a very personal person. Like, I don't throw my feelings out there. And it was about a year into it, my doctor referred me to her. So, like she said, I started going to her, and she fired me. She didn't almost say, she fired me. But I kind of didn't that first year have a chance to grieve because my 16-year-old found my son. So I couldn't just shut down. I had to pick up the pieces for him, try to move on, not really show my emotions. And I keep a lot of my emotions inside. And one of the things with starting to see Michelle and us becoming close, she's got me outside of my box, doing a lot of things I wouldn't do. This is something I would have never said I would have done. But again, thanks to Michelle, she actually has been my savior. She has really been there for me, got me outside of my box, and we actually were on a retreat, and that's where she was like, we had gone out after the retreat and did like a spa day, and she came out and she had this brilliant idea, and I was like, I'm all in, let's do it. I can't help these kids. I knew I wanted to do something in honor of Hunter, but it kicks in for about 30 days with these kids, and then they think they can do anything they want to do. It's not going to happen with them. So I went a different route. There's not a lot out there for parents. You make connections that are a lifetime, that you can pick up in an instant and call them if you're having a bad day. So.
And there's not a lot out there for parents that are free.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing for me, is that we are burdened so much. Some people, can't work or whatever. And we wanted a weekend for parents to be able to come and take the masks off that we have to put on for society, because nobody wants to see a grieving parent. And it's been 4 months. Aren't you better yet?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And 5-star them all the way, because our retreats are 5-star. I mean, they are 5-star. Beautiful accommodations, beautiful food, beautiful
chef,
everything.
Yeah.
And just give them a weekend where they can just breathe and connect with other people and
talk about their kids, which is what we want to do more than anything. They might not be here, but you know what? You don't stop talking about it.
Right.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think one of the things when it comes to grieving parents is there is this stipulation out there that after 6 months or after a year or after 3 years, you should just get over it and move on with your life, right? And I'm glad that you all are actually bringing people together to show them, like, hey, it's okay. It's okay. And you're doing it for free. So I definitely want to dive into what that looks like for the person out there that's watching around the world. And they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be a part of that. I want to find out how they can be a part of that. But more importantly, I want to know what your message is to those parents out there right now who are facing grief or have experienced grief, and they just feel like they're alone. So what would you all say to them right now in this moment, being that you are literally just overcoming this, or not even overcoming it, but you just experienced this yourself, and there's so many people out there that feel like they're alone and they don't have anybody, or they don't have $10,000 to go to a retreat, right? What would you say to them, and then how can they participate in Pangels?
Well, I would say they're not alone. And I know that they may feel alone because they may be in a town where not other people have experienced this or whatever, but they're not alone. And there are a lot of forums that depict that. I mean, whether it's on Facebook or other groups, but there are unfortunately a lot of parents, and even more so in today's day. I mean, every day there's parents losing kids, and it's horrendous. So they're not alone, and that doesn't mean much when you're in Tennessee and you're in a small town. But it does, because phone calls and Skypes and all that stuff are available for people. In order to sign up for one of our retreats, you go on Pangels, which is PANGELS.org, and there is a registration form there. And what Pangels stands for is Parents of Angels. And we, unfortunately, our retreats are filling up pretty quickly, which is sad.
That sounds like a great thing, though.
Well, it's sad because that means it's sad because so many people need the service.
Yeah.
It's sad, you know?
Oh, guess what? That means you guys have to expand now. So maybe you can have ambassadors in other states and other cities that can.
Well, we don't want to do that. That's the thing. Is I've been approached by people who ask me if I wanted to franchise out, and again,
we want to keep it personal.
Right. We want to be at
every single
retreat. We want to know every single parent. We want it to be. Our retreats are 100% personalized. When you come to our retreat, you will see your kid's picture all over the house. You will have a pin with your kid's picture. Your room will be depicted by a picture of your kid on your door. I mean, it is very personalized. So when we sit down in the dining room at the house that we rent, on the whatever, fireplace, whatever, there's everybody's picture. When we sit in our meeting room, we have the kids' pictures everywhere. So it becomes our house. We're a family for that weekend. And
so we keep it smaller to about 10 to 12 parents a retreat, so it doesn't get where the parents can't talk. You know, we don't want a time limit on how long they can talk about.
We went to a retreat that was wonderful, but there was actually a timer.
Hourglass.
Yeah, because they wanted everyone to be able to tell the story, and
wow.
Pressure. I mean, you were watching the hourglass more than.
So, and it's not even in our group meetings that most of the connection happens. It's outside of it. And it's a very casual, open, there's wine there. People want to drink wine. There's no rules. There's no nothing. I mean, you can just be yourself. And the feedback we've gotten has been just the warmth and just the camaraderie that happens. And then after the retreat, we have a private Facebook page called Reflective Healing, which is what our retreats are. And Reflective is for Rachel and Healing is for Hunter. And this is just a private page for people who have attended the retreat. So even if you didn't attend a retreat, you can still connect with other parents from other retreats. We have people from all over the country coming. So, and personalities are personalities. So there's always one or two people that just bond and they connect. And now they have this reflective healing, or they, we make sure everyone has everyone's numbers and whatnot. So if they want to,
keep in touch and stay.
So beautiful. I love this. And I love the work that you all are doing in the world. And I just admire how you have literally taken what most consider a tragedy and turned it into something so positive, to help other people around the world, and more importantly, to help yourselves, right? Because we can't help anyone if we don't help ourselves first.
Right.
So I love that. And I want to talk about what the habits are that you both implement into your life so that you won't suffer in silence. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to dive into what that looks like for you too.
Okay, perfect.
I'm Sakina Bunch. As a mom, veteran, and entrepreneur, I know the struggle is real to find accurate health info. That's why as a health coach, I've made it my mission to be that trusted source that women can come to for themselves and their families. Join us in the iHeal community today.
All right, hello everyone. We are back from a commercial break. This is Limitless Living with Shavannah Speaks More, and today I have the honor and the pleasure of talking to Michelle and Tracy, who are the founders of Pangels. And we went a little bit into what that is exactly. So if you didn't catch it, make sure you rewind it back and go back to the beginning so you can understand exactly what Pangels is. But since we're on this conversation, I want to find out from you two, what habits have you actually implemented in your life that can prevent you or have prevented you from suffering in silence? Because I feel like that's what a lot of people do when they get on this journey to grief. They just hold it all in, and they, like I said earlier, they feel like they're alone and they don't really know how to come out of this. So what are habits that you two have been able to implement into your life that prevented you from suffering in silence?
Well, the first thing for me is I realize grief is very personal. When you're pregnant, they have that book of what to expect when you're expecting. which is great for some people, but a lot of people's pregnancies aren't ideal, so you can't expect that. They have grief books about these are the stages of grief, and these are what you should follow, and this, and I was like, excuse my language, but that's bullshit, because you can't tell somebody how to grieve. So I didn't buy into that person, and the people who tried to instill that in me were the people I just weaned out, because it's just very personal and nobody can tell me how to grieve. I went out of my comfort zone when my daughter died. I am Jewish by birth, but I never had a real strong religious affiliation. So I was really panicked because I didn't know where my daughter was, and I get tearful when I think about that. So I went out of my comfort zone and I spoke to shamans and rabbis and priests and everybody that I could just get this knowledge from. And I have to say, in the last 6 years, my spirituality has opened up. I understand that we are just a vessel, and our souls are still here, and that she is still here. And in order for me to be able to connect to her, I need to cleanse myself. And so together, we've actually gone to Arizona. We've done personal retreats of our own. We've gone to other retreats. We've gone to people to cleanse us, to help us cleanse us. And most importantly is I'm very attuned to hearing the stories of people who've lost kids, and I reach out, or people reach out to me and say, my friends, just lost your son. Can you be a source of, and I'm like, absolutely. Which makes me feel good, because it makes me feel like this is a purpose. This is my purpose. I always say, and I always said this after she died, I feel like we're business partners, but I just don't know what business we're doing. She's up there and I'm down here, but we're working together, but I'm not really sure where. And then this little angel came into my life when we started to do pangels, and it's like, oh my God, Hunter and Rachel got together up there and they did this. They did this. And I do believe that.
I do too.
But I think the most important thing is that society has a way, like this country does not grieve the way other countries do. In Mexico, they have the Day of the Dead where they grieve that. This country is kind of like, all right, time's up, let's move. And I really try to instill in people, and everyone's families are different. Some people have support, some people don't. But to just be true to yourself and to realize that, there is no time limit. I mean, I call it the tsunami of grief, which is what happens. Sometimes I'm going through life and it's okay. And then I'll wake up one day and I will feel like I'm drowning. And I used to swim, like not literally, but try to fight it. And it got worse and worse. And now I just succumb to it. And I said, okay, well, it may be a day, it may be a week, but it's going to lift. It's not going to be forever. And my body needs to do this. Like I need this for some reason. Maybe I'm not putting too much, maybe I'm just trying to avoid it too much or whatever. But I am very much in your face about my daughter. I'm not afraid about talking about death. I would say her name all the time, and some people go like, oh, we don't want to go there. And I'm like, no, I want to go. Like when you say her name, when you talk about my daughter, it reminds me that she lived, that she was here. That is not her story.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And what about you, Tracy? What are some habits that you feel like you've implemented that stops you from suffering in silence?
I've been very blessed with family. I've had a lot of family that they've rallied around me. They don't, if I want to talk about Hunter every single minute of every day, they are absolutely, and that's a lot. That's a lot, because you know what, like I said before, he was a part of my life. He may no longer be here, but I talk about my other two boys. I should be able to talk about him.
Yep.
So they have been a blessing. Again, Michelle has been a big blessing in my life. I do a lot of traveling. Maybe it's just to, free my mind or whatsoever, but I do travel a lot. I realized with my husband, and this was a big thing, I'm all boys. I mean, I have all boys. I have a husband. I'm the only female. So, with me, it was hard to cry in front of them because they want to cater to me and are you okay? And I didn't want that. I wanted to, so I found myself going out by myself and just letting loose. I also realized that me and my husband, and this took me a minute to figure out, that we grieve differently. We don't grieve the same. If I would not have figured that out pretty quick, our marriage probably would have ended. But we made it through. It survived. You know, the one thing is you think, everyone thinks, oh, it's been 3 years, it's got to get better. It doesn't get better. For me, it's gotten worse because I see his friends getting married, having kids. And, you know, then that just dredges up. What would he be doing? I'm missing out on that. So to me, it doesn't get better. It gets worse. And you have to learn how to, I guess, deal with it and move forward. And again, I couldn't grieve that first year, probably the way I should have, because I had a 16-year-old that it just knocked him for a loop. So I had to dive in head first with him. But I definitely think the people you surround yourself with is absolutely helps you through it. I do a lot of traveling to get my mind, just because when you're here, it's nonstop thinking. And I'm not saying I don't want to think about them, but you know, I need a break. I need just to settle down myself, and so I do a lot of traveling and surrounding myself with good people.
That is so beautiful. And I love the fact that you both mentioned that it doesn't really end, right? And Michelle, I think you mentioned they have like all of these books, and I'm not saying those things aren't effective. Everybody, you know, again, everybody's different. Everybody's perspective is different of the world and how they grieve. However, being able to implement little habits such as being around people, having family, you know, pangels, the organization that you both created together, traveling, these are things that can at least help you to get through the process, even though it may not ever get easier. But if there's anyone watching today and you're in this situation now, or you've gone through it and you still feel like you're alone, just utilize these habits and things that Michelle and Tracy are doing to help heal the world, essentially, because that's eventually what it's going to end up as. I know you guys want to keep it small, but I really believe that this is something that's going to impact the world. I mean, you have to think about this show alone reaches millions of people. So you just never know what is going to happen from this. But I truly applaud you for being able to stand strong in your gift and in your purpose, and allow Rachel and Hunter to still live through you guys, because that's what's happening right now. And it's such a beautiful thing to watch. It's just so beautiful to me. So thank you guys so much for just sharing your story and all that you do in the world. We're going to take a quick break, really quick, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about what Limitless means to both of you.
Join the Woman I Am Today, the podcast, as I sit down with prominent women to discuss their brand, movement, and the women they are today. The Woman I Am Today, the podcast, invites deep conversations and a safe place to let the world know what you've been through. If you're interested in being a guest, please send us an email at nvtv, the number 4, the letter L, at gmail.com, or call 919-866-2190.
All right, welcome back to Limitless Living with Shadana Speaks More. I am speaking to the wonderful Michelle and Tracy today about their organization, Pangels, where they help grieving parents around the world really heal and go through the grieving process so they won't be alone. So, Michelle and Tracy, I applaud you both for just all the work that you're doing in the world, and again, allowing Rachel and Hunter to continue to live vivaciously through you all while you're still in this human experience, because I know what you're doing is going to impact the lives of so many more people around the world, and just you being willing to be a vessel alone shows that you both are truly limitless, right? So because you're on Limitless Living, I want to know, what does being limitless mean to you? So Tracy, we want to start with you.
Oh, you know, I've thought about it. You know, to me, I guess it comes that the one thing I thought I would never get through in life was losing a kid. And you know what? I did, and I can. And you can get through things. You know, I wanted just to shut down. I was okay if I went too, you know, but I had other kids, I had my husband, I had my parents, and I made it through it, and I made it through it. And look, it's something I'm going to continue to go through. So, you know, it's not just, okay, I made it through, it's over and done. It's something I'm dealing with the rest of my life. So yeah, I think when you think you can't get through, do something, you can if you put your mind to it.
That's beautiful. Michelle, what does being limitless mean to you?
No boundaries, no structure,
Yeah.
no barriers, just believing
Absolutely.
that you can and you can. One thing I want to say is that, you know, we mourn our kids, of course, but we also mourn the loss of ourselves.
Yep.
It's the hardest part because you find yourself, like I was never a depressed person. I was like upbeat, I was, you know, the problem solver, I was, you know, always the giver and this and that. And
I lose yourself.
The essence hasn't changed. I'm still a giver and I'm still that. But I do find myself, I'm just not as bright as I was. I'm not as, you know, I use a lot of humor and I used to always use humor and I still do, but I used to be at the gym every day. I don't have the energy now. Like, and I have to give myself grace, and it's really hard because, you know, there's some vanity that comes with us, right? As we get older and stuff. And I'm hard on myself, you know, I am very type A too. So when I get something in my mind, it keeps going. But there's nothing that I don't think that I cannot do.
Wow.
It's going to be a struggle. It's going to be hard, but her too. I used to always say the one thing that would bring me to my knees and probably never bring me back up is if I lost my children. And then I lost my child, and I'm still standing.
Yep.
Wow. And both of you are limitless.
Like everybody is. It's just you have to believe it. You have to believe it.
Yes. And I'm just so honored. Like, just even having this conversation with you, it has been an inspiration to me. I can only imagine, like, whoever's watching this show today, like, how this is going to inspire them, because oftentimes in life we look at little things and we get so uptight about it, but then you guys are actually facing something traumatic that has changed your whole life, and essentially you've lost a part of yourself in this process.
Absolutely.
That to me is limitless. Like I said, I can't applaud you both enough. And I guess with that being said, what actually motivates you all to keep going? Like, I know the transition that you're going through and the things that you've encountered, and this is very fresh, by the way. So those of you who are watching, this wasn't like 20 years ago. This is very, very fresh, like within a few years. So you're looking at two people that survived, that are going through this grieving process and are still going, all right, every day. So what actually motivates you two to keep going?
For me, my biggest thing when Rachel died was, okay, I now had to mother my other two. They're here. How do I mother her? Like, she's up in heaven. How do I do this? And the only way I can do this is to keep her memory alive and to talk about her and to memorialize her in a way, which makes me feel good because it's you know. And so selfishly, what Pangels does is it allows me to do that. I mean, that's those weekends are focused on Rachel. Then I don't talk that much about my other children. I mean, of course I'll come up. But those weekends are dedicated for Rachel and connecting with other parents. Now, everybody's relationship with their kid is different. Me and my ex-husband, our relationship with our kid is different. So I can't tell somebody I know exactly how you're feeling, because I don't. But I can tell you that the loss and the absence and the void, I can connect with. So that's the motivation for me. And, you know, any feedback that is like, this has changed me, this has helped me, this has given me a different perception, this has opened up, any of that motivates me to keep going. And that's why we don't want to franchise out. I want to know everybody who comes to our organization.
We don't want it to be a business.
We were so anxious to get it started that we funded this ourselves.
Wow.
The first year. We just had our first fundraiser September, yeah. But before that, we were self-funding it all, and like I said, it it wasn't a burden because it was beautiful. It was like it was a beautiful thing that we were doing for ourselves and for other people. And it's just that's what motivates. It makes everything make more sense.
Absolutely.
I love that. Oh my gosh. What about you, Tracy?
Me, motivation, you know what? I'm going to go back old school. It's my son and his beliefs. I mean, he believed, I've come along a lot more spiritually because of him. He might have been young, he might have made mistakes, but his spiritual was unbelievable. I mean, he would quote you Bible verses, he would do this. I mean, he believed there was a day you came into this world, a day you go out, a path you lead. So yeah, I have to say, I have to go back to that. That's what keeps me motivated, is that, you know, I've come a long way with my beliefs, and I believe I will see him again. And, you know, and like she said with Pangels, it's keeping their memory alive. I've been very blessed because he has a ton of friends that, you know, we're 5 years into it. They're constantly going to his grave site, posting things. So, I mean, yeah, you know, as long as I can keep his memory alive, and that's motivation for me, and the spiritual.
There's a piece, to me at least, that I don't want to disappoint my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, her biggest thing with me always was like, you are the strongest human being I know. I want to grow up and be as strong as you. She used to always say that to me, which is beautiful coming from a child, you know, beautiful. And even around her funeral, I remember getting dressed. And my sister's like, I'm getting dressed. Like, nobody cares what you look like. I'm like, what Rachel does. Because this is for me. You know what I mean? Nothing less. Like, and everything I do is for her, that I know that she would be proud. Because it's really important that I make her proud, that I don't fail her and become weak. And you know what I mean? Even though I do have my moments of weaknesses, but that's okay. You know?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say that you both are doing a great job. And I think Rachel and Hunter are just as happy in heaven as they would be if they were here today physically. So we're going to take our last break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to find out what's going on with you guys next. What do you have brewing up? Where can people find you? Where can they connect with you and follow you from this journey and going forward? So we'll be right back.
Hello, welcome to Booster Hills in Raleigh, North Carolina. My name is Sandra Hardy, and I'm your business strategist, and I work with small business owners just like you to help you to crush your business goals. Whether I strategize with a client out of state, in my office, or meet them at their place of business, Booster Hills is here for every business owner needs.
All right, and we are back, Limitless Living with Shavannah Speaks More. We're speaking with Michelle and Tracy today, the founders of Pangels. And we want to find out, this has been, first of all, an amazing episode. I love the fact that these two have literally done what so many people want to do but don't have the courage to do. So again, if you've missed any of this episode, make sure you rewind it back and you watch it, because every single piece of it was juicy. Every part of it was amazing, and their stories are just priceless. So Michelle and Tracy, what can we see in the future from you all? And then let us know how people can follow you going forward after you watch this episode.
So we have 3 retreats already set up. One's in January and one's in March, Lake Gaston, North Carolina.
Both of those are in Lake Gaston.
Yes, they are both booked and they're full. We have one coming up in June, which is in Virginia. That one is not yet quite full. We still have a couple more openings. The way you get in contact with us is pangels.org. So it's pangels.org. It's our website. You'll see a registration form there. You can register, and we will get back with you within 24 hours of letting you know that you had your registration. We will have more retreats coming up.
We're looking at one possibly in October.
Yes.
Of next year as well.
And we are we're trying to get together some fundraisers so we can help us support this without having to support it on our own, because you know. So we're always open for donations if people are willing to you know, want to donate. And we're just, I feel like we're a community support. I mean, like I said, I am a person that gets contacted a lot when somebody loses their child. But this takes a lot of time up, and it's good because it keeps us busy and it keeps us, you know,
something to focus
and
on.
we're always adding personal things because, you know, we get feedback after the retreats, and we always add personal things. Now, we are not non-denominational, so there is no religion affiliated. But one thing I'll say that is beautiful is that we have people from all walks of life, and in this day and age, we know that just with everything that's going on, it's just, you know, and they come in here and everybody, all that goes.
It goes
everybody. It's like the bond that you have is so much stronger than hate or any prejudice or anything else.
And I will say this too, we've had our first couple retreats where there were people on their way there that were ready to turn around because it was out of their comfort zone. I get that because I would never have done it without her. And then they get there, they actually stay and say they have said it's changed their life. So yes, it is out of people's comfort zone, but let me just tell you, go and it will change your life.
And one other thing I want to say to any parent who has lost a child, because I hear this a lot, is some people are afraid to come to these retreats because they're afraid of being judged.
Exactly.
Like if their kid was murdered, if their kid was in gang, you know,
and that was me.
If their kid was a drug dealer, if their kid killed themselves, all this stuff. And one thing that I say at our first meeting is, and I say this all the time, is our stories are different, but our endings are the same. There's no judgment, and there's you know, we can ask questions and whatever, but anybody who's lost a child is welcome at our retreats. It does not matter. We never chose. No parent chooses their kid to engage in those behaviors. Right. Now, my daughter, you know, she died going to work, and it was, you know, and people say, oh, well, she died so nobly, and I'm like, it doesn't matter how she died, she's still not here, you know. So I just want people to not veer away from it because they feel like they're going to be judged if their kid was, you know, involved in behaviors that society doesn't think. Because we don't care about what your kid did. We care about how are you going to survive.
But another thing is, you know, like, and that was the case with me with my son taking the Xanax. I mean, and she knows I did not want to go and tell that story. But you know what? I'm okay telling it now. I'm okay if it helps somebody else.
Yes.
And it's not just that. It's one bad choice can take their life. It's one bad choice. So if my story can help somebody, a child or a kid, absolutely, I'll tell it all day long.
You know, just a quick thing is I met a woman at a store, and we just started talking. We hit it off, and she had said something about me, like, oh, you work out a lot? I said, no, not so much. You know, I lost my daughter in 2016. She goes, oh, I lost my son. Oh my God. And we bonded, and she told me her son had a motorcycle accident and whatever. And she came to one of our retreats, and she pulled me aside, and she said, my son overdosed. And I said, oh, okay. She says, but I'm always embarrassed. And she's very Catholic, and she goes to church. And she said, I'm very embarrassed. And I said, don't ever be ashamed of that. I said, you tell the story you want to tell. If you want to say he died in a motorcycle, then you tell that story. And she sat down and she told the real story. And that was the first time she ever spoke the truth.
You guys are amazing. Like, my heart is so full right now because I love hearing this. I love what you all are doing. And they just told you how you guys can continue this journey with them. If you are currently out there and you are a grieving parent, or if you've ever experienced anything like this, or know someone, right? Make sure you connect with Michelle and Tracy today, because I promise you it will change your whole life. Michelle and Tracy, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Living with Shavannah Speaks More. This has been truly an honor to be a part of this stage and really interview you. I don't even consider it an interview. It has been a great conversation. I'm so glad that you all are here to share your story and that you are taking action and doing what many don't have the courage to do. So I truly applaud you. Thank you again for being a part of the show. And until next time, it is your girl, Shavannah Speaks More. This is Limitless Living with Shavannah Speaks More.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.